China, at some point in history, was recognized as one of the biggest civilizations in the world. However, due to the colonization, mercantilism era, and years after the Industrial Revolution, China got politically, technologically, and economically behind to the rest of the world. To start talking about Chinese development and its effect to the rest of the world, we must understand its economic history. It all starts in 1976 after Mao Zedong's death, and in 1978 when Deng Xiaoping and its colleague of the governing party had a vision and a plan that would bring China to its glory days. This plan was called the 10 Years Plan that essentially will build the foundation of what we know as the Chinese economy today. The goal of the 10 Years Plan was to reach a level in which China will be able to support itself and compete with the West. Also, the plan focused on economic sectors with heavy industry, specifically in steel production. Another goal of the plan was to set a natural resources extraction, specifically oil, petroleum, coal, and non-foreign metals. In addition, the plan included extensive infrastructure development which involved electricity, railroad, and water transport. The plan proved to be too ambitious and the government couldn't afford the cost, so in 1979 the goal of the plan were modified, and this time the plan focused on four modernizations: agriculture, industry, science and technology, and military. Nevertheless, after extensive modifications, China couldn't afford such expensive development plan, and the need for a bigger financial muscle was needed. Between 1980 and 1984, the government established several special economic zones that will be open to foreign investors. This strategy also will benefit China from learning and importing science and technology by trading with the West. China's focus on quality of its products, the diversity of its export, the devaluation of the yuan, and build up its currency reserves. Thanks to this, China has become very attractive to investors like Japan, West Germany, United States, and years after, the four tigers of Asia. The results of the plan were visible. China's economy grew at a speed never seen before and wasn't even compared to the miracle economic growth from the four tigers of Asia. By the early 90s, the GDP grew almost 10 times it was at the beginning of the economic reforms in the early 80s. The GDP jumped from 178 billion to $1 trillion. But wait, there's more. In 1999, the government of China, after extensive discussions for years, decided to join the WTO to finally catch up with the global economy and become competitive with the developing economies. The benefits were obvious. First, China, by being member of the WTO, will have access to all developed economies without any type of discriminations or preference trade deals. And second, China will have lower trade barriers with other states, which facilitate the Chinese industry to enter in a more fair and competitive global market with lower tariffs, import quotas, and excessive regulations that lead to greater sales, more jobs, and faster economic growth. As a result, Chinese GDP has grown to $11 trillion by the end of 2016. But the real question is, what does this mean? Many developed countries are worried about the rapid growth of the Chinese economy and how it can affect the global economy. Will China become the new economic ruler? Will China take over the international trade? The answer is no. A study made by Greenaway, Mehabir, and Milner have showed that this growth from China cannot take over the world now or in the future, and in fact are benefiting other countries, and also thanks to this is reducing the tariffs from a 56% in the 1982 to a 15% in the early 2001. A good example of this could be the increase of trades between China and the four tigers of Asia in the past decade. Sure, there are some loss of share in between of them, but this has helped to create a better competitive advantage of products. Also, with an increase of trade with tiger cubs of Asia helping to develop their country's economies to a point to reach a global competitive market. In other news, the Premier of China, Li Keqiang, said in the 12th National People Congress kick-off early this year to address the new agenda of the Chinese government. Primarily, also mentioned that China is not looking to take over the global economy, but instead they are looking for a more multipolar economic system where Chinese firms can have more accessibility to enter the global market as an answer to the accusations from the President Trump during his campaign in 2006 about a trade war in between China and the rest of the world, specifically to United States. In addition to his speech, primarily explained to the international community their actions of why they keep devaluating their currency, and it was to avoid any other currency to take over the yuan inside of their domestic economy, and that now, because they have a more stable and strong economy where national firms now can compete against international firms to avoid any monopoly of the domestic consumption of any product, and that China is willing to reduce some of the regulations to incentivize international investors to be able to access to the Chinese market more easily than before. On the other hand, US and Chinese neighboring countries as Japan and Philippines are also worried about the Chinese military development and the latest territorial expansions in the Asian Sea. The answer for these accusations hasn't been revealed, but as we can study the stage of development of a state, in order for a state to keep growing, the securitization of the territory is essential for a national security, and security is one of the most important political goods that a government can provide to its citizens, referred to Robert on his article. It's hard to believe that the entry of China to the WTO has created so many questions about what are the real intentions of China in the future, where some countries see China as a comrade and others as a competitor, not just economically but also politically in the international community. Another study related to this topic is China Emerging in Asia, Comrades or Competitors, made by Alan Harner, John Fernald, Prakash Logini, and John Schnellner, where they study the impact of the growth of China in Asia and their main export partners, where there is almost a direct correlation between China and the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or Tiger Cubs of Asia, mentioned it before. But what is interesting is that there is a strong connection of the growth between China and those countries that politically are competitors, like USA. This is a graph of representation of the value of Chinese exports in the United States, where by numbers we can assume that there are comrades. But the newly accusations from the President Trump says that this is not beneficial at all. The answer to this question is the concern of national security, where USA feels in a weak position to depend so much on Chinese valued exports because in time of war, USA has a remarkable disadvantage in this position. Does really China want to overthrow US and become the new hegemon? Or does the government of China just want to bring those glory days and be recognized as a stronger state in the world? The answer is unknown. Nevertheless, this phenomenon of growth from China will not stop soon, and given all the study, it will continue above and beyond.